Hello everyone and welcome back to TED Time. So one of my viewers asked specifically for a video showing how to install Kali Linux inside of a virtual machine in Proxmox. And just as a reminder, if any of you ever have any questions, you can always just leave them down below. Or if you go to my website, you can find a link to my Signal Messenger group. You can go in there and send me a message anonymously if you want to. But today I'm going to be showing you how to install Kali Linux in a virtual machine inside of Proxmox. And we will be following Kali Linux's official documentation on how to do this. And their recommendation is to download a pre-configured Kali Linux image and to load it into a virtual machine. And I'll walk you through the steps of how to do that. And I'll put a link down below to Kali Linux's official documentation. The first thing I would recommend that you would do is go to your Proxmox server and then go to the summary and see how much RAM you have currently available. Now I have a total of 14 gigabytes of RAM and I'm only using up 4 right now, so I still got plenty of room for Kali Linux. If your machine has less resources than this, then you may want to go and delete a couple of these virtual resources in order to make room on your server for Kali Linux. But in my situation, I should have plenty of room, so I'm not going to worry about that. So if you look at Kali Linux's documentation, the first thing they want you to do is they want you to go to the downloads page and select a pre-built virtual machine. So if we go to this page and we're going to click on pre-built virtual machines, and the recommendation for Proxmox is to use QEMU image. So what we're going to do here is you want to download it straight onto your Proxmox server. Instead of clicking download, I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy link. And then now I'm going to go to my terminal and SSH into my Proxmox server. And now that I'm in my Proxmox server, I'm going to run wget, and then I'm going to paste the link that I copied earlier, and then click enter. And now that that is finished, we'll do ls, and you'll see the 7-zip file down here below. So now we'll need to extract the image from the 7-zip file. And for Linux, you need to make sure you have a tool called p7zip. So I'm going to see if I have it or not, which p7zip. And it's not currently installed in my computer. And so I'm going to run apt install p7zip -full and hit enter. Hit enter again to confirm. So now I'm going to go back up to my which command, and now it finds p7zip installed. So let me clear the screen so you can see a little bit better. And I'm going to increase the font size just a little bit. There we go. Now to extract our 7-zip file, we're going to run the command 7zax and then the file name, which should be Kali, and then you hit tab to finish data complete. And it is now extracting the files, as you can see on the screen. And this may take a minute, so I'm going to pause the video. So now that that's finished, if you will ls the screen here, and as you can see, it unzipped it and gave it this qcal2 file extension. And because this p7zip app went ahead and gave it this file extension, all we have to do next is just to go into our Proxmox server graphical user interface and start creating a VM for it. So I'm going to switch over to there, and I'm going to click over here to create a VM. I'm going to leave it on node 3 where it's at, and I'm going to leave the VM ID 104, which is my default. And I'm going to go ahead and select start at boot so that it will restart itself if the machine ever restarts. I'm going to click next. And then here we're going to select do not use any media. And we'll click next. Then under system, we want to go ahead and select to use the QEMU agent. And we'll click next. Then under disk, what we're going to do is we're going to click this trash can icon to delete this SCSI icon here. And we'll click next. Now under CPU, you can leave it at the default 1 to get everything started with, but I can tell you from experience, if you have the resources, it's going to work a lot better if you can give it at least 2. So I'm just going to go ahead and change that to 2, and then I'm going to click next. And under memory, the default again is fine for getting started, 2 gigabytes, but I'm going to recommend you jump it up to 4 if you have the resources for it. And then I'm going to click next. And then for me, the network section, the default is perfectly fine. So I'm going to click next. And then it's going to ask me to confirm everything. And I'm going to go ahead and click finish. And once that finishes creating, make sure you take note of whatever VM ID you gave it. In my case, it's going to be 104. And then you're going to return to the command line. And back at the command line, you're going to run this command here, import the pre-made Kali Linux ISO into your virtual machine. So you have to specify your VM ID number, which in my case is 104. This might be different for you. And it's going to export all this to the local LVM storage so that your VM can be linked to it. So we're going to go ahead and press enter on this. And this is telling me I had a typo in my command here. So I'm going to do ls, and then I'm going to up arrow to my command. I'm going to make sure I got everything spelled right this time. Kali-Linux 2024.3 QEMU AMD64 GCal2 to local LVM. press enter. I'm gonna pause the video while this is running. So now that that's finished, we'll go back to our Proxmox server's graphical user interface, and then we're gonna select our VM, and we're gonna go over here to hardware. And you're gonna look for the unused disk 0, and then we're gonna click edit. And as soon as it opens, you should see a local LVM VM-104 disk 0 option. Of course, your VM ID is going to be different, so that number is going to be different for you. And so we're going to make sure we select that, and we're going to click add. And now that a new disk has been added, we need to change the boot order. So we'll go back to this menu and click on options. And then you see the option for boot order. We're going to select it. We're going to click edit. And we're going to drag and drop our new VM-104 disk. And we're going to make sure it's enabled. And it's our first option in the list. And then we're going to click OK. So now it should be ready to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the VM and I'm going to click start. And then I'm going to open up the console view so we can watch it start. And we have the Kali grub menu. And our first time logging in, the username is going to be Kali and the password will also be Kali. I'll hit enter to log in. And it looks like we have successfully installed Kali Linux inside of a virtual machine in Proxmox. So the first thing that I always do with any new virtual machine is I'm going to open the terminal and I'm going to do sudo apt update. And that's a lot of packages to install, even though this was a freshly downloaded pre-made image. So I'm going to run sudo apt upgrade. I'm going to go ahead and pass it the Y so I won't be prompted. I'm going to hit enter. And while that is running, I'm going to look over here at the summary for the virtual machine itself. And even while running updates, I'm still about midline on its usage. Now, depending on your resources, you might want to look at this and see how expensive this virtual machine is on the machine you've installed it on. And as a whole, I'm curious how my server is doing, so I'm going to click on the server itself and go to summary, and that would tell me how my entire server is doing with 3 virtual machines and 1 container currently running on it. And mine is doing pretty good. This is one of my beefier machines with Proxmox on it, so I had a feeling it was going to be okay. Yours is all going to depend on the hardware you have. And now that I know all that's going to be fine, I'm going to go back to my virtual machine with Kali on it. I'm going to go back to the console so I can see what's going on. And I'm going to pause the video until these updates are finished. And you may get this message asking if it's okay to restart services or not during the install process. If you're like me and this is a virtual machine you just created, it should be perfectly fine, so we're going to select yes. And now that all the downloads are over, depending on how much RAM you gave it to begin with, that may have taken a while. And if you feel like you need to make any changes to that, now's a good time to do that. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to your options for your virtual machine. Go to hardware, not options. And to change the RAM, you click on memory and click edit. And I'm going to add a little bit more to mine just as an example. I'm going to click OK. And the change in RAM being in red means that you need to shut the machine down and start it back up in order for the change to take effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the console. And since I'm already at the command line, I'm going to do sudo power off. It's going to ask for the password for Kali, which is still Kali for me. I haven't changed it yet. And it's going to shut stuff down. So if you go back to your hardware tab, you'll see it's still red. So we're going to go over here. And now that it's stopped, we're going to right click and click start. And if you notice, as soon as you click start, it moved from red to solid white. And then we're going to go to our console and it's booting up as it normally does now. So if you made it to the end of the video, I thank you so much for being here today and for viewing it. Please hit the like button down below. Leave me a comment. If you have any other videos you'd like for me to do, feel free to mention them. And please subscribe so that you are made aware of future videos when they come out. And I will see everybody in the next video.